Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and much appreciated you guys taking a few minutes out of your day to watch the video. Just want everybody to know that, man, I'm really grateful that you guys are supporting the channel like you do. It's really going good, and thank you very much for everybody that's watching these videos every day. So today I'm going to continue on my series of advanced bass fishing discussions. It's going to center around just a lot of different stuff. I'm trying to sort of stagger this out over a long period of time because there's a lot to talk about as far as advanced techniques and even beginner techniques. But specifically today, I want to give you guys some tips on advanced trolling motor operation. I think that probably, in my opinion, learning to master a trolling motor is one of the most overlooked aspects of being a really good bass angler, because running a trolling motor, guys, it's an art form unto itself. I mean, there's a certain amount of athleticism to it. There's a certain amount of preparation and plan. There's a lot that goes into it on both a mental and physical level that a lot of people don't give it credit for. And the boat positioning, guys, I'm telling you right now, I don't care if you're fishing offshore or if you're fishing shallow, if you don't understand how to position your boat and how to use your trolling motor when you approach cover, whether it be offshore cover or shallow cover, you're simply not going to maximize the potential of that area that you're fishing. So today, I want to have sort of a high-level talk on trolling motor manipulation. First of all, what's the goal here? Learning how to run a trolling motor. The goal is to allow you to be as efficient and stealthy as possible when you're fishing, because you have to really understand, when you're deciding how to run your trolling motor, as far as the speed that it's at, and as far as how you want your boat positioned in relationship to the cover. That a lot of it has to do with a bunch of different variables. It has to do with the mood of the fish, the personality, the bank angle, the composition of the bank, the water clarity, water temperature. There's a lot of factors, depth, all that type of stuff. But I want to talk a little bit about deep and shallow water both as far as this. So we'll talk first of all about shallow water. Let's talk, for example, about if you're fishing target-oriented cover along a bank. And this could be boat docks, it could be laydowns, it could be grass beds, or it could just be like a rocky bank with rock transitions, whatever you're fishing along the bank. The thing that you want to try to do is you want to try to fish at the right pace. A lot of people think in terms of when they're running their trolling motor or fishing in general, they think about, well, I need to fish fast today, I need to slow down. The key is, guys, is don't think in terms of fishing fast or slow. Think in terms of fishing the right pace for the technique that you're using. For example, if you're burning the bank with a buzz bait or a spinner bait, and it's open water bank cover where you just you're getting a bite here and a bite there, and you have to cover a vast amount of water to get those bites, obviously you're going to have to run your trolling motor at a higher speed. But if you're creeping along and you're flipping super thick willows or flipping around dock pilings, sometimes you have to dial it back to a snail, and there's levels in between there. As far as those are just two extremities with it. The first thing that you want to remember, guys, is when you're trying to run your trolling motor, when you're positioning your boat, is you don't want to ever come in too fast or too slow to a piece of cover. If you're fishing a specific target, again, like a laydown or a stump, the biggest mistake that you can make is you come in a little too fast on that piece of cover, and either you come up on the cover too close and then you're going to spook the fish, or you come up too close on the thing and you try to reverse direction of the boat and you backwash the area that you want to fish. So there's an art form as far as coming in at just the right speed where your boat sort of glides into the cover, guys. And that's what you want. When you're fishing targets, you want to be able to run that trolling motor where you can take your foot off that trolling motor and it glides into that cover nice and slow, just at the right distance for you to make the presentation that you need to make. You don't want to be on that trolling motor when you're fishing that cover. I'm a firm believer that trolling motor needs to be off when you're fishing key pieces of cover. So there's a lot of variables to this too, because if you're just fishing in calm conditions on a lake with no current or no wind, that's going to be one such situation. When you're determining how to roll in or how fast to run that trolling motor, how slow, you have to look at the wind speed, you have to look at the wind direction, you have to look at any current maybe involved. All those factors have to be determined before you come in on that piece of cover. So a lot of this just is a matter of practice. It's sort of like driving or something like that. Nobody can just go out there and do it, because every boat handles different. If you're in a 21-foot bass boat, it's going to handle different than if you're in a 17-foot aluminum bass boat, as far as the trolling motor, generation or speed that you need to come in at. So you're going to have to get familiar with your own equipment as far as to do that. And so it's just basically a matter of practice. But you want to make sure that not only you don't come in too fast, but you don't want to come in too slow, because if you come in too slow to a piece of cover, you're going to waste a lot of time. So you want to maximize your efficiency and come in just at the right speed to make the most accurate, quiet presentation. Now, if you're fishing down just a straight shoreline, say you're fishing down a rocky bank or a bluff bank, or maybe a real defined grass edge or open water flat, something like that, that's still shallow, that is when it's a lot easier, because you're not thinking in terms of rolling into a piece of cover too fast. The thing that you have to do on that situation with trolling motor speed is you have to figure out the pace that you need to fish, as far as how much water you need to cover versus how efficient you are with your technique. So a lot of that depends on the technique that you're fishing and the water temperature. If you're cranking a bank, say the water's cold, say it's 40-degree water and you're fishing a crankbait, you'll obviously have to dial it back a little bit. If you're, creeping down a bank with a finesse jig or shaky head, just fan casting along the bank, obviously you want to dial it back a little bit. But if you're fishing in the warmer months and you're paralleling that bank with a spinnerbait or a buzzbait or some type of a walking topwater, then you can dial it up a little bit. But the key is to figure out the best pace that will allow you to most efficiently cover that bank, generate the strike, with the least amount of negative, basically the negativity that comes from trolling motors running too fast or too slow. You got to get that right pace. Same goes in as far as if you're fishing offshore too. If you're fishing offshore ledges, offshore points, brush piles, that type of stuff, it's the same deal. It's just in a deeper situation. Most of the time, if you're fishing some type of an offshore deal, you've got a waypoint drop, so you have an approximation on how close you're getting to that particular cover. But again, it's all about efficiency. You don't want to come in too hot on that to spook a school of fish. You don't want to come in too slow, to reduce your efficiency. It's a matter of determining, the current, wind direction, weight of your boat, that type of stuff, to come in on that just at the right speed. So a couple different aspects here too about trolling motors in general. I've talked to a lot of people that dive and that have studied trolling motor noise in relationship to the fish, and almost every person that I talk to says that the bass are not as wary or not as spooky. If there's a boat around, they know the boat's there. Don't kid yourself. If you're 50 foot away from a fish, they know something's there. But they're less spooky if the trolling motor's not running, or if the trolling motor is running at a low, consistent speed. The thing that spooks these fish and sort of gets them wary is if you're on and off that trolling motor all the time. If you're going 10 feet and taking your foot off the pedal, or go a couple feet, take it off the pedal. So the advice I want to give you guys with that is try to resist that on and off all the time. If you're working down a straight stretch of bank, put the trolling motor on the speed that will allow you to fish how you need to fish without taking your foot off of that. And if you're fishing shallow water cover, really try to use the wind to your advantage to let you coast into a piece of cover. That's going to help out a lot. Another big mistake, guys, I see a lot of anglers making is they have their trolling motors on too fast. A lot of guys out there, they'll put their trolling motor on 5 or 6 or 7, and they're on and off it all the time. They're bzz, 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 like that. That's a huge mistake. put your trolling motor on at the lowest speed that you can efficiently fish. Most of the time, I use a Minn Kota trolling motor, a lot of guys do. Most of the time, you know, the speed is controlled on a dial from 1 to 10. Probably 90% of the time I'm fishing, when I'm actually fishing, my trolling motor is dialed back to 2.5 or 3. I very seldom ever use it over 3 unless I'm trying to get between pieces of cover or across a cove or something like that. So try to keep your trolling motor on the lowest speed that you possibly can. But overall, the gist of what I want to get here is learn your equipment. And the only way that you can learn how your boat reacts and how your trolling motor reacts to the boat weight that you have and the environmental conditions that you're faced with as far as wind and current is to spend time on the water and practice with that. Practice coming in on pieces of cover. Practice getting it right where you don't slop through that. And I see fishermen all the time, man, they're flipping or cranking a piece of cover and they come in too fast on it and they just ruin that piece of cover. So it's a huge overlooked part of fishing. Don't overlook it, guys, because it's I guarantee if you get really good at running your trolling motor, it's going to give you those extra fish, just like a new color of bait's going to help you out. So anyway, that's today's tip. I know it's going to help you guys out. Become a master at your trolling motor. Consider it an art form and take it seriously, and it'll definitely help you out in your fishing. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see y'all later.